This is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, a new winery tasting room featuring 100% Texas wines from wineries all over the state. We are located in Mansfield, Texas, inside of Ancora Event Center on Broad Street. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie board to enjoy, live music, and a new wine club. Go visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter and learn more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fore Ranch and Winery. Or is it
Fore Ranch, Vineyards, and Winery.
Vineyards and Ranch and Winery?
There you go.
Can y'all hear me over there just fine?
Yes.
I can hear you.
I can't hear nobody. It's okay. How about you, August? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you right.
Yeah, I know. I've got one headphone that doesn't work on one side, and I got another one that doesn't work on the other side. Okay. So if we put them both together, we might be able to hear both sides. But can you hear just fine, though?
I think so.
Did
you get a deal on mono headphones?
I can definitely hear Walt Roper.
Oh man,
my gosh.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
You got a deal on mono headphones? Is that the deal?
We did. We found it off of Temu. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to We Know Texas Vino's live podcast out here at 4R. Now, before we get started, I don't know if y'all actually saw it when y'all came in. There is a table over there with a bottle of wine on there. What? What happened to it? Okay. Well, if you see this wonderful woman in this purple shirt, she's going to be selling raffle tickets for a High Camp Flask, one of my sponsors, okay? Now, this is an amazing little bottle. It will actually hold a bottle of wine with 2 tumblers on the end of it. Would you like to go bring it to us right quick and demonstrate it, everybody? I want to switch my headsets around. Come on. There, that's my more dominant ear. So, basically, if you want a ticket, it is 1 for $5 or 5 for $20.
Difficulty with
You need to say, but first, a word from our sponsors.
But first, a word from our sponsors. Go for it, Walt.
The camp, what is it called?
High Camp Flask.
High Camp Flask.
High Camp Flask.
And the reason it confuses me because we have Hip Camp, which is
our camping
booking website.
Right.
Oh,
so
okay.
High Camp as
We're
a
gonna
step
talk
from
about
Hip
that.
Camp. Okay.
Oh, you know what?
But I really like the High Camp Flask.
Did you get to see it?
I took it apart, yes.
Oh, you took it apart. Did you put it back together properly?
Yes.
Did you have instructions?
No. Pretty simple.
I don't know how this got so crazy.
I know. I mean,
Walt can take you sideways really quick. So
yes, I know he can. So this is an amazing little contraption. We've had it on here before. Both ends come apart and make a little tumbler
Yep.
as such. And this is a pressurized cap that you unscrew, put your bottle of wine into it, screw it back on.
Yep.
And when you screw it on properly, it'll actually pressurize the wine and keep it cool for the next 24 hours. So you can go camping,
It's
go out
amazing.
there work on the ranch, and you need to work cattle. You want to go on the bike trail and get lost,
That's right.
and you need some emergency wine. This is a great thing for it.
That's right.
Walk around everybody and show
We
them.
always need emergency wine everywhere, all the time.
Always,
All the time.
always. Well, before we get into the show, so we're going to do 2 shows today, okay?
Right.
So we're going to do episode 99 and episode 100. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yes.
You literally can't hear us over there?
I can't hear you.
That gum. You may have to play with the little buttons for D, C, and E to find out which one is his and press. So we'll just keep on going. We'll keep trucking.
Okay.
It's always some sort of technical issue.
Always.
Always.
No
So,
matter what.
Yes. Well, so can you hear us just fine? Can you hear it all?
It's
Nothing.
really important for the winemaker to hear.
Yeah, because we want to ask him a question he doesn't want to.
That's right. That's right.
Can you actually hear us without the headphones on?
Yeah, I can hear better.
Okay. Walt,
Okay.
can you talk so he can hear you?
Hello?
Can you hear him over there? Yeah. Okay. Well, then you
Hello.
can just leave your headset off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Mine's a little loud if you could turn it down.
Well, no, that's just you. We can't turn you down. I know she's tried. And it never happened, did it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You ever tried duct tape?
Yeah. Still doesn't work. He's an attorney. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Did I not know you was an attorney?
I don't know what you know. I'm not aware of what personal knowledge you do or don't have.
What kind of attorney are you?
I was an attorney.
He was. He
Okay.
retired, thankfully.
Retired or retarded?
Retired.
A little of both.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Well, before we get started deep in the show, okay, we're already
Yeah.
joking around.
Right.
First off, today is National Rosé Day.
Yes, it is. I'm so excited to celebrate National Rosé Day.
And you've poured us some rosé. So what did you pour us?
This is our brand new 2024 rosé. I'm going to let August talk about the notes on it, but it's absolutely delicious.
Well, our rosé, this one in particular, has notes of strawberry and melon, probably, and just a little bit of a dry finish on it. And if you want me to talk about how it's made,
If you want to.
so we
This is your
usually-
show. This is your show.
Yeah. So this particular rosé is a Malbec with just a touch of Roussanne added. The Roussanne provides a little bit of complexity and some little bit of floral notes to it.
good.
The Malbec brings the fruit. And we do that every year. We do a bleed off of a red with a touch of white wine to it as well to produce our rosés, and it works out very well for us every year.
Yeah.
I will have to say, I've had a lot of really, really good rosés, but man, I do taste the strawberries you talked about on there. I definitely
Yeah.
taste that on there. And there's only one other wine that I drank that I've ever tasted strawberries in it, and that was actually a Rosé Cap Franc.
Oh, a rosé
Cap
Cabernet.
Franc.
Yeah, it was from West Cave, and it was shockingly. I mean, is that a word? Shockingly?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Good. Good.
I'm not an English person. Okay, I'm Texan. Well, good job
True.
on that. So you released it this year. Have you entered any competitions in it yet?
This one we haven't entered in competitions. It's one that going forward we probably will start really putting the rosé in competitions. We're a little hesitant right now because we produce smaller volumes of it because we're trying to dial in how much we need of it. It's very fickle for the time of year usually,
Right.
so we don't want to overproduce. But because of that, a lot of these competitions these days require
Several
donations
cases,
of
right.
cases after the fact
Right.
to win. So we don't want to lock ourselves into having to hold back when we need the volume for sales.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. You got to have. You got to have enough to make sure you do your sales.
Yeah.
Got to make sure of that.
Well, and it sells out really quickly. I mean,
I can see why.
since we've been doing the rosé in this style the last couple of years, it's usually gone before the summer ends, and so that's
Wow.
That's exciting, but also challenging if you're going to enter it in a competition. You know,
That is true, because when you enter into competition and people see it and
Yeah.
see that's gold, and they're going to want bottles of it. And
that's right.
if you don't have stock of it, people won't get upset.
Yeah,
But
true.
that's a good thing also.
It
Of
is.
rosé. Can you pass the rosé, please?
This is going to go on. I'm so sorry in advance, but he does love his wine. So here we go.
I don't think he loves wine at all.
You don't. You don't. You think he secretly drinks, I don't know, vodka?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a good vodka.
That's true.
So, I hear you.
Wow, I just heard the tasting. We are busy today. Thank
You
y'all
are.
so much for coming to see us and hear us on the podcast. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Can
amazing.
they hear us? They aren't acting like they can.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, I can hear the PA speakers.
Uh-huh.
So, Walt, actually, for all of y'all. So I want to give real quick. I want to give thanks to my stepdad, Robert.
Yes.
He's doing a great job.
Thank
for
you,
having
Robert.
to do this because
Yay.
I can't talk and move cameras and mess with dials all at the same time, especially for this. So, and my mom's walking around out there. She's being social.
She is selling raffle tickets. She's on it. She's on a mission.
She, we went out, did a live episode at 5:55, and she was on it like white on rice out there. So, but I want to hit my sponsors real quick.
Yes.
Where you can find this podcast. So anybody that's out there listening and wanting to watch this, you can find us live on YouTube right now. And by the time you actually see this, it will be recorded and played back. And then I actually will go through and I'll do an edited version of this as well.
Great.
But you can find it on YouTube at We Know Texas Vino. And then, of course, you can find us on any podcasting platform, Spotify, Pandora, whatever you listen to podcast on. So look up
Awesome.
for We Know Texas Vino, and of course find us on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino. So it has been first off, August, I've never formally met you. I'm Will. I know your predecessor, Anthony.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah. Very good. Very good teacher too.
Yes, he is. And man, I've never seen such a very calm and collective man in my life, but very soft spoken.
Yes, very much so.
I mean, I think he takes that. What was that president that said? Walk softly and carry a big stick.
That's Anthony.
That's Anthony. That's the definition of Anthony right there.
Yeah, there were times in the winery where we'd be working, pumps running, moving stuff around, and all of a sudden I'd hear him like yell across the room. I'm like, yeah, why are you yelling? He's like, because I said it 3 times and you didn't hear me. I'm like,
Oh man, I love Anthony. Anthony's such a great guy. He's actually one of my little mentors
awesome.
also for my little journey that I'm going through.
Yeah.
So we'll come to you in just a second.
All
Okay?
right.
We got 2 1-hour shows for this. We'll come back to you.
All right.
We won't forget about you. Hopefully you'll talk. Who's this guy again? So
Recently promoted to our head winemaker,
Yeah.
and also Munster's hometown guy. I mean, born and raised right here in
really?
this town. Generations of his family from this town. So we'll talk about that.
yeah, we'll get to you. I'm going to catch up with these people over here, and we're going to slide you in. Hopefully you'll comment on stuff. Hope you'll comment on some stuff.
Oh, he's ready to talk.
Oh, you got some dirt? I'm ready for the dirt.
Yeah.
So, Walt, Nicole,
Yes.
it has been almost 2 years since I've been. Actually, I think it has been 2 years since I've been here.
It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years because it was.
Because you all were doing it. You were just right in the middle of your earliest show.
Yes, because I think we
starting.
just got through doing like our case. I think our
Yeah.
episode, I don't know, like 10 or 15, somewhere in there.
Right. Somewhere
Yeah.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Walt told a dirty joke I had to edit out of the podcast.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go back through and find it and bring it to you, and I forgot to do that.
That's okay.
He's actually
I'm sure he remembers.
So I'll tell you one thing that actually I remember from that episode. We were sitting here at this round table, and you had one of your regular members. She was an older lady, and she
Shug.
was
Shug.
That's her.
That's her.
And I
Yeah.
think she wanted to take Michael home that night.
She did want to take Michael home that night. She immediately got into the podcast and hopped on with a whole bunch of her own stories. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. It was
They're
good.
regulars. Yeah.
Yeah. So outside of Anthony, what has changed? Oh, sorry, not Anthony. Why did I say? I looked right at you and said Anthony because both of y'all have an A in your name. August.
Yeah. Outside of August changing in the last 2 years, Walt, I'm going to let you talk.
Yeah. What else changed?
I think the biggest change you might notice, we've added roofs on our deck. A roof on our deck, I should say. And then we added a shaded area. We added a roof on the north side.
Okay.
The experiment with fabric roofing in North Texas doesn't work. At
failed.
least not in my
That's
state.
right.
Too much wind.
Too much wind.
Pretty extreme out here.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we've started Hip Camp,
Okay.
which started up, I think, in
2019.
during COVID.
Well, it
Or right
went
before
right
COVID.
before COVID. You and Chris
And we've been
finished
getting
it. Yeah.
more and more popular with that. We're one of the top 10 campsites in Texas on Hip Camp.
Nice.
And I mean, it's hard to believe. You look up and we have like 600 reviews. It's hard to believe. So it's been great because a lot of the campers come up. They have wine, they have food, and then they love it so much they come back because a lot of campers realized they thought they were going to be. They thought they were tough and they thought they were going to rough it, but they decided that why should we cook this goulash when we can come up here and have some wine and some really good food? So
That's funny.
that happens.
Well, you know what you should do down there where your campground is? Have like a little mini tasting room down there. And when you have a full, you have a full camp, have wine stock down there, and people can walk
Well,
over.
the problem with that is then you need refrigeration down there. Then you have an employee down there. Then then it becomes a whole nother taste room. So,
Well, I think also too, they like to come up because of the view.
Oh, that's
I
true.
mean, what we have for those who haven't visited us is an outdoor deck, 50-foot cantilever deck with about 270-degree views, panoramic views of the Red River Valley, and I think that's Even today, with it being almost 90 degrees, we're full inside the tasting room for the folks who want to participate and listen to the podcast, but we're also almost full on the deck. And I think that just is a testament to how special it is.
Yeah. First off, it's my second time out here, which I need to come out here more often. But see, I just told it myself. You okay, Walt?
Yeah.
You hadn't said a word. I mean, very little word, and you're not a man of little words.
I thought I wasn't supposed to be talking until spoken to.
Oh, I mean, you can talk anytime you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I want you to talk. You're the actual star of the show here. Nobody else is.
Nicole.
That's right. No.
No, August is actually. I'm gonna focus over here. So you have an amazing place out here, and coming out here my second time, I got kind of lost. I was like, I don't remember none of this at all because everything was all flat, and then I was like, I thought they were on top of a mountain, like a little mountainous region.
Ridge. We are.
And
We
I
are.
didn't realize that until the direction I came in. I was opposite where I came in last time because I
Yep.
came in from RK.
Yep.
And that's why I was like, okay, now I see what's going on here because when we got closer, we actually got to see the mountain ranges and got to see the valleys and stuff. And that's where I really realized, okay, this is a very beautiful. In fact, actually, the last time we were up here, it rained.
It did.
And
It did.
Michael's car, I didn't think it was going to make it up the hill, and I thought I was going to have to push it up the hill.
Yeah, you got to work a little bit to get to this view, but when you get here, it's worth it.
It definitely is. Now I got to switch over here real quick. August has been very quiet over here, and I'm scared.
Oh no, I'm listening and trying to hear. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry the headphones don't work.
No, that's
don't
fine.
shoot me. Well, feel free to chime in. I mean, we want some dirt, okay? So actually, how long have you been here?
how long have I been? I've been here since November of 2016. So right
Oh,
when
wow.
they opened up the tasting room.
About 2 weeks later, we hired him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I started as
Yeah.
kind of part-time cellar hand, part-time tasting room staff, and been here ever since.
Oh, okay. So you pretty well just learned as you went.
I'm sorry.
They can't hear the podcast. They have video, but they can't hear the podcast. That's interesting.
Who's they?
People on the live stream.
The world?
The world can't hear. Oh, no.
You know,
Well, maybe we ought to take a break while y'all make sure.
well, the problem I'm having is my soundboard can't go to my computer, so I have to use the audio from the microphones to get onto the Wild Wide Web. That's the problem I'm having, and I didn't think this was going to happen this way.
So, okay.
I mean,
Well, we can keep going.
we can keep going. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
It's being taped, you're saying, but it's not going to be simulcast.
yes. That's it.
That's sad. Oh,
that
I'm
makes you
sorry,
Turn on your
everybody.
closed captioning.
I don't know.
I mean, at least they can read along.
I don't have a sign down here at the bottom.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe we can get a signer to come in.
Wait, how did that go again?
I think
Well, I can't do it. But
I mean,
I think you threw a couple
honestly.
gang signs in there.
I think
Well, I'm really okay. I want to apologize for that. Like literally, I've been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I just had this problem when we went to the Flat Museum. Everything worked perfectly fine. I think
Until it didn't.
I think YouTube did this to me. Like, all this started happening after YouTube blocked me. Like
YouTube bought you?
blocked me.
Oh.
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah, I wish they'd buy me
Yeah.
$30
Yeah.
million. And they can have all of me.
That's what we say.
I mean, I'm pretty cheap,
Well, that's fine. So everybody at home that may or may not be able to hear us live will just have to watch it later.
Yeah, I will edit it and I will throw it out there. And if Robert could actually turn the volume on the PA speaker up just a little bit,
Yeah.
because the gentleman in the cowboy hat back here, he's too busy on his phone.
Testing.
Oh. Ow, Walter.
So, back to what we were saying. So, 2016, you came out here. You started as a cellar rat,
Yep.
tasting room attendant.
Yeah.
And what made you decide you want to become a winemaker?
Well, I had actually kind of been interested in it before then. My wife and I would travel and go to different small wineries. One of the first ones we went to when our first vacation together, at that time we weren't real wine drinkers, but we went into this small winery because it was convenient, and we enjoyed the wine and enjoyed the experience. And the people behind the bar were the owners, the winemaker, and they all were having a wonderful time. So it was always kind of in our head like, oh, wouldn't that be a great thing to do, because they obviously enjoy it. It's fun. Wine's a wonderful product. So it always kind of been there. And then I'd looked into it and been reading books about it for years. And then I needed a job and was looking around, and I saw their ad in the local paper, and I was like, well, if I could get a job and learn about the industry and get paid to learn about it,
why not?
What better circumstances?
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think there's all of us got into wine for some reason like that.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fascinating little drink. It brings people together.
It does.
Well, it depends if you drink too much.
That's true.
But it does
know your company.
Yeah,
Right.
know your company. But it does definitely bring people together. In fact, we wouldn't be sitting right here doing this podcast if it wasn't for wine.
That's right.
So yeah. So what else has changed? I mean, you've changed your awning.
McKinney. We have a tasting room in
Right,
McKinney.
we added the McKinney tasting room.
Right.
And
How's that doing?
It's going good.
Yeah.
We've got a fantastic sommelier and his wife who run it for us.
Anthony and Nicole.
And they're doing a great job.
They are.
Nice.
They are. They're getting great reviews on Google.
It's 5-star review after 5-star
review, and so people love it.
That's awesome. And it always feels good when you have a satellite location that does really good on its own, and you don't have to be there all the time. Yeah. So we're going to talk. So we got some questions here.
Okay.
We got a couple of sheets of questions here. We're going to talk about some of this, but before we really roll deep into this, I want to know more about August. Honestly,
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I want to know more about August.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite wine to make? What varietal or what blend do you get that you just get excited about?
Tempranillo always. It's my favorite varietal overall.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, I came across Albarino
Okay.
because I've always been a big dry red drinker. And that's why Tempranillo, I love it. And I came across Albarino and just fell in love, and I was surprised because it's a dry white. It's
Okay.
light. So those two really.
So, have you done a blend with those yet?
What?
Have you done a blend yet with those?
A blend?
Yeah.
Not one that's particularly my favorite. I mean, we make a winemaker's reserve blend every year, but it changes every year.
Oh, well, I'm talking about with your Tempranillo and Albarino.
Sorry.
With your Tempranillo and Albarino.
Oh no, we don't do a blend with those.
Oh, you should make a little rosé with that.
We could. But honestly, I like my rosés made from Malbecs, Grenache, Mourvedre, stuff like that.
Okay.
I've Tempranillo, to me, I've had some Tempranillo rosés, and some people do it very well, but it's never been a varietal that I go to as a rosé.
That's fair. I mean, I've had some Tempranillo rosés that were good, and I've had some like really.
Well, to me, like I said, even the ones that I can drink the Tempranillo rosé, and I'm like, objectively, this is a good wine. It doesn't stylistically hit where we found our clientele to want rosé to be.
Okay.
So.
Well, I mean, that's fair. You want to make sure you make wine for everybody's going to like.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Tempranillo and Albarinos are your favorite ones. What else do you get excited about when what brings the passion out more?
And it's odd because when I first started in the wine industry or started drinking wine, I wasn't a big Cab fan, but now it's one of my favorites, and it's one that we do best. I think actually now is our Cab.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And then if you're talking about just stuff I get kind of a geek out about in the winery. I'm not a sweet wine drinker, but we produce a sweet wine called Nectar Nero that, again, I don't drink it because it's too sweet for me. But it's technically challenging to make the way we make it. So that's enjoyable to me. So every year we start that, I get a little excited about making that.
Okay.
Just because the process is challenging.
Right.
So.
I like to tell people I'm a sweet guy, but not a sweet guy. You get the joke, Walt? I'm a sweet guy, but I don't drink sweet wines.
Got it.
That's the first time I've ever had to tell Walt the punchline of a joke. He usually gets it all the time. I guess not this time around. Not enough wine in you yet?
Definitely not.
So we're going to talk some questions now, okay? So we got a whole bunch of your members submitted questions.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Have you read this list yet, Walt?
I haven't read every question. I'm ready.
Did you read these questions?
Yeah, I looked over them. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm much more ready than I was when you had me on your podcast at the Drink North Texas event.
I should have been on the podcast.
Which, by the way, I want to do a shout out to Chris Hornbaker.
Oh,
and
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
all the folks that were involved in making it happen.
From
Yes.
the North Texas Wine Association.
Yeah, they did an amazing job.
If you missed Drink North Texas in Dallas this year at the Frontier Flight Museum, catch it next year because it's coming back. And it was amazing.
Well,
Chris and Darlene and Reagan, they did a great job.
And Walt is pouring a glass of our rosé to toast you.
we're going to get classes right quick. Don't make a mess. Don't spill it.
It's hard to do for that distance.
You need longer arms.
There's the pour. The pour.
Thank you. All right. So our very first question we got here.
Okay.
And this is actually interesting. When I read this last night when I got them, and it's actually it's a very valid, good question. What was the inspiration for the architect of the tasting room here in Munster, and how was this location chosen?
Well, that's a funny story because originally we had an architect, Gary McKibben, and he did 4 or 5 different designs for us. And originally we were going to do it in one of the houses down in the valley. And we eventually decided that it would just be better up here as a standalone facility. The inspiration was he kept doing these designs and I kept simplifying it. Finally I said, Gary, just do a rectangle with a shed roof.
It's true.
Like Sea Ranch. And so Sea Ranch, which is kind of the archetypal shed roof structure, was kind of the inspiration for it. Although I do the limestone, Texas limestone architecture was, of course, how we got the limestone on the outside. We'd seen that so much and we really liked it.
Oh, okay.
Well, and to further that discussion, Chris Roper, who's the other owner of Fore Ranch, and my brother-in-law, Walt's brother, he actually found this spot, remember, to build it.
He suggested it. We originally were going to convert his house, and he said, I think we ought to do it at our best view. And he was right.
And he was right. It was 100%.
Did it where he suggested.
You know, there's first off, amazing view up here. Absolutely gorgeous view up here. Even in the fall time and the winter time where all the leaves are down off the trees, you can still see out. It's still a beautiful view sitting out there. You see the color of the autumn of the trees changing colors and stuff. Just absolutely gorgeous out there. Can you hear us over there, August?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to chime in on the view when you're talking about fall. There's even the fall colors out here. It only lasts for about, a week?
Maybe two.
Yeah,
maybe
a
2
week,
weekends.
Maybe 2
yeah.
if you're lucky, where the fall colors are just phenomenal out
They're
here.
phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Then the wind comes through, they're all gone.
They're all gone. Yeah, that's true.
You get a couple
That's
days,
true.
you're done.
And I will say, too, we fought with our architect because he said, well, you really don't want the view on the west. You don't want to be looking west because that's where the sun is just so hot. I said, yeah, but Gary, the view's just, it's got to
Yeah,
be west.
it
He
has
wanted
to
us
be
to look down in the east into the first valley. But
No,
West
it's
is where it's at.
the west is where it's at, and now that we have everything is covered with our new roofs, you don't have as much of the sun like you used to.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I get that. I mean, because I remember when we were out here, you didn't have a roof out there, and it was hot, and it was raining, and you couldn't sit out
and
there.
you kind of noticed that, I bet.
Just a tad bit.
Gosh, I don't know.
So, but I'd also know, while we're talking about this location, I know that you also have something special about this location as well. You'll have like bike trails that you had built. We still have those bike trails?
We have a 10-mile mountain bike loop and lots of pass-throughs and add-ons and spurs. And so, yes, we have a 10-mile mountain bike loop that we have 3 or 4 races a year at. And people can come up and ride it 24/7. All it costs is $10. Come up and ride it.
That's right. And your brother was
Yes,
very
my brother
instrumental in
pretty
doing
much
that.
built the trail
Yeah, he did.
with a little help from me. I welded 7 cattle guards, which some of them still work.
Gosh.
I mean, cattle guards only have one function. They don't work.
You haven't seen my welding.
Ooh, man, I'm scared about that one. I'm just going to look around, make sure there's no weldings around here.
No weldings. No welding.
when
He
you're
didn't
making-
do anything on the
When
inside
you're
of the
welding
building.
cattle
No.
guards, you either got to be a really good welder or you got to pay your insurance premiums.
That's right. Or both in this case. Yeah, right.
So, and this is actually a very good question also. What led you to start a winery and a vineyard in Munster? And what was the vision at that point?
We were trying to figure out some way to live on the ranch full time and make a
Yeah.
living out here. And we went through the prospect of a lot of different ideas and finally upon growing grapes and a winery.
Okay.
Well, your mom was pretty excited about the
Yeah,
grapes.
She was wanting
She said-
somebody to make her some Merlot.
Merlot, because she is diehard Merlot. I mean, that's her grape. It will always be her grape, and so Merlot is on the menu because of my mother-in-law.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, you know, there's 2 grapes that I'll drink the wine, but I'm not a big fan of it. And that's Merlot
Yeah.
and Petit Verdot.
yeah.
Both of them, when I drink both of them, it dries me out. Like I can't drink it. I'm just like, it's just,
Oh, and that's those tannins.
Yep.
Petit Verdot in particular,
Yeah.
you could do that unoaked and it's still going to bring a lot of tannins.
oh yeah, 100%. And it's crazy is just this last week I did the Lone Star International Wine Competition.
You did.
And
sweet.
I'm trying to think. It was a Tempranillo Petit Verdot blend, and the Petit Verdot was like 2%. And the minute I drank it, I mean, it was like really, really good. I mean, I love the body on it. I love the taste on it. And when I did the finish on it, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, there's that 2%.
It came at you with a vengeance. I find steak helps. So
You know,
yeah.
I found San Pellegrino also helps.
Yeah, probably true.
Oh man. So your mom wanted somebody to make Merlot.
Well,
Yes.
and amongst other things, but that's her favorite.
That was one
yeah.
of her few requirements.
Yeah,
Few requirements. So she dictated your life.
she did.
She's very easygoing.
I was thinking, did she tell you to marry her too?
Did she what?
Oh,
What was that?
I said, did she tell you to marry her too?
Yes,
No, she didn't have to. But she would. Yeah.
she was encouraging it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's definitely involved. Yeah.
So then it leads me to the next question, and I'm going to actually turn it to August then. So what varietals are being grown out here right now?
What varietals? What?
Are being grown right now out here?
Oh, on the
Estate.
vineyard, we grow 1 acre of Viognier,
Okay.
and we have 2 acres in Cab right now,
Mm-hmm.
which we're
Cab Sauv,
currently.
yeah.
We stumped the cab last season and are currently retraining, and we're going to go to the management program on it. So it's kind of out of production right now.
Okay.
But our Viognier produces wonderful fruit every year.
Okay.
We just
Yes, it's amazing.
We fight raccoons and birds out here.
Literally.
It's
a fight.
It's very frustrating because like
It
last
is.
year, the quality's always there.
Mm-hmm.
But last year we thought, we're actually gonna have a decent yield this year.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually gonna be able to release this to the public for the first time in however many years.
Yep.
And so we set a date about a week out to harvest, and 3 days later,
It's a week
it
too
was-
late.
The
Yeah.
raccoons had just that quick started wiping it out. So we went in earlier than our
I
pick
mean,
date,
oh.
and we still only
Yeah.
we got 13 cases out of it last year.
Oh
Yes.
man.
So what we've done is gone to the limited production series
Yeah.
for our club members. So you can talk
so
about
the
that.
Viognier, it because it's always smaller yields, at least the last few years, it goes to the club.
Okay.
Basically.
Well, that's fair.
And hopefully we'll get the pest issue dealt with, and we can release it to the
Yeah,
public
we're
at some
working
point.
really hard on that this year. So
Yeah.
You know, I know a man with a shotgun.
well, we won't reveal our methods, but we have lots of
We have new and
exciting
improved-
things planned.
We have new
Yeah.
and improved raccoon management.
That's all we'll say. Yeah,
I
that's all we'll
also
say.
hear that Great Pyrenees are good too.
She is. Our dog child would be excellent at it, but she is now very used to the couch and the air conditioning and is choosing not to work anymore. Lucy is very happy as a pet.
Well, I know another Great Pyrenees is like that. Mine's the same way. Mm-hmm. She walks outside. She does a perimeter check. She comes back in the house and gets on the couch.
That's right. Yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, oh my gosh, she has the cutest floor ornament ever. And I said, I know, she's adorable. She's really the sweetest thing. We get asked a lot of questions about Lucy, and that's her name. And if she works on a ranch, and I was like, we'd love for her to, but we just can't get her out of the AC. She's not motivated to do that anymore.
Yeah, my Great Pyrenees is the same way. I'll let her go outside, and she will walk outside, do her perimeter check. She'll sit outside for just a minute, and then she'll start barking to tell me she wants back in the house. It's too hot.
Yeah.
Now, when it snowed, oh man, she was out there in that
absolutely.
snow. Absolutely.
If you can get her in snow, or several years ago, we took a trip to California and came across an awesome place called Avia Beach, which is 100% dog beach for dogs. And Lucy had her first trip to the ocean, and you talk about the joy with her. Once she figured out that the waves were not a threat, she was ecstatic. I mean, crazy happy. So from that moment on, I think that was when the transition happened to be like, yeah, the work has ended. I'm here. I'm a lover, not a fighter. That's it. I just want love.
I took my Great Pyrenees out camping. She loves camping. And I took her out one time. We went out to the lake. I let her get in the water. I regretted that moment ever since then, because she gets out and she was splashing around and jumping around and having a good time, and then drink the water. And then she looked at me like, this is not house water. This is not tap.
This has not been filtered for my needs. Yes.
Oh,
we understand that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So actually, the next question, we actually started talking about the varietals. And since I'm going to see if he knows the answer.
Sure.
And I'm going to let his answer coincide with your answer and see if it matches. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What year did you produce your first wine from your grapes grown in Munster? And what varietal was it?
I think the first one they produced that made a wine was 2012. Their Cabernet.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
That is correct. Yeah.
He's your winemaker.
He is our winemaker, for
Well,
sure.
and he
was here.
Remember, he's been here.
Well, that's why I asked him first.
I was serving in the tasting room when I first started. So.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question. If you knew that off the top of your head still.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I was wondering if you still remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does.
Not everything, but I remember a lot. So.
Yeah.
And this is actually the interesting right here. What was the first day like when you opened your winery? And was you nervous?
Well, it was so great because, we had gotten to the point, and Walt can talk about this, but we had gotten to the point where we were just like, we just need to get open. We could have spent another year trying to add this or make this a little bit more special, or wait till this vintage was ready or whatever. And we finally just said, no, this is the date, first Saturday in November, 2016, we're opening the doors. So we were still trying to hire for a team. We had hired August because you were there opening weekend, I think. Or did you come after?
It was a second.
You were after second weekend. You were there. So we were in the process of interviewing folks. And so what was so cool was so many of our good friends from Dallas and our family came up, and they were our sales associates. They were the people behind the bar serving everybody, getting everybody, into the wine club and pouring the tastings and delivering the tastings. And it was really so cool to have all of that support that opening weekend. It was really a lot of fun. But yeah, I think we were nervous. You always are the first time you do something new, right? Especially for Walt and I. We each came from different careers in Dallas, and I had managed a lot of retail stores and had a really big career there. But when you're doing it for yourself, there's always,
Right.
some nerves involved.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so, but we had a blast that weekend, and we had a majorly big Saturday, and then the next day, my cousin, who was sitting next to me, when the door opened, all the same people came back. And she's like, Nicole, you have regulars.
Yeah.
So there you go. You have regulars.
And that's
So
how it all starts.
that's how it all starts.
It all starts like that.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to do a follow-up question on that one, and even chime in on this one also. So if someone wants to start their own winery, is it better to go ahead and wait until you have your own wines, or should you go ahead and do a custom crush until you get your own wines?
Well, I'm going to repeat the advice that the late Gabe Parker
Yeah.
gave to a good friend of ours,
Okay.
Tom Bush, former owner of Cooley Bay. And Gabe said, just get open. And he's right. We were waiting. We thought we had to have we thought we had to have vines in the ground and a real vineyard before we opened. But the truth is there's lots of wineries that are very successful who've opened without even vines planted. So I'd say to any entrepreneur, do your homework, but get open.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that, because it's all well and good to, in principle, want to start with your own fruit, your own wine from that fruit.
Yeah.
But that's a good 5 years of investment without
Right. That's
any
minimal.
revenue.
Right.
So it's one of those things. Again, I agree with him. You got to do your homework. It's an expensive business to be in, but you can start out with wines from somewhere else,
Right.
and work yours into the program as you get there.
And what's the saying? You got to spend $2 million to make $1 million in the wine industry.
Or more.
That's the other advice I would give. Start with a lot more money than
Or more.
Start with a lot more money than we did.
Or
I'd
more.
say that.
More.
Well,
That's a case where more is better. That's the way. That's when more is better.
oh, that's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I want to take a quick pause.
Yes.
So my groupies.
I see the
You
groupies.
see my groupies out there? Can y'all wave out there? They actually brought a balloon that says 100 on
They
there.
did.
Is that
They
not
did.
awesome?
That is awesome.
Did you not bring one that says 99, then 100?
No. We're just on 99 right now, I
I love
think.
them. They're good friends of mine. They've come to the tasting room where I work at and hung out, and they found me. We became good friends. And in fact, actually, we did the live episode at 5:55, and they called themselves groupies at that moment. And so
Yeah.
now they've been known as my groupies. Now, I would like to say, Sherry,
Yeah.
can you get a bottle for them for me? For Lance and for Brandy. Get a bottle for them. Put it on me. I mean, don't put it on me. I was waiting for you to make that comment.
No humor yet.
No,
More wine.
Nicole warned me to be good.
I did. I said,
you do that to
I
him?
know,
Walt
but
is
it's okay.
humorous.
He's going to let loose in a minute. He always does. It's all right.
Do we need
It's
to put
all
a
right.
straw in a bottle of wine for you?
No.
I mean,
Please don't do
first
that.
off, that should be invented. A wine straw.
Yeah, it might already be. I don't know. Is there a wine straw? You're the Googler in the family. You are. That is his nickname. Is the
That
Googler.
reminds me of another story. You
Yes.
probably wouldn't have asked this question.
Okay.
Oh, no.
It goes up with it's in one of those answers. Say what is one of the funniest things that's happened that they did ask as a couple. That's what they asked. But
Yeah.
The funniest thing pre-opening that happened. I thought it was funny. It's not that funny. But
Okay.
at some point we had an awesome contractor who built this building from scratch and converted the winery barn.
Right.
And he had worked on homes for my brother, me, and my mom. He worked on our homes in Dallas.
Okay.
And so we were very familiar. We were friends with him. Did a great job for us everywhere. And he was also, at the same time he was building those two buildings, he was also doing changes to our two houses on the ranch and our guest house. So we had 5 buildings.
All pretty much under construction at the same time.
Wow.
So I said, Mark, and his name's Mark Hallen, great guy. I said, Mark, hey, when do you think we're actually going to be done with all the construction? And he said, Walt, that depends. How long can we keep you off the internet?
That is true.
I
I
kept
forgot
finding
that.
cool stuff to add to the building. Can we do this? Can we do this?
And this was Gabe's point about just get open. At some point, my mother-in-law just said, enough, you're open.
That's funny. I mean, well, yes, please. I'll just fill the
We're
bottle for me.
passing rosé around here because it's National Rosé Day.
It is.
Oh. And if you want a great glass of rosé, foreourwines.com. There you go. That was the shameless plug.
It's not shameless.
for the
It's your show.
rosé.
Enjoy
It's
it in
shameless.
your high camp flask
That's
Hey,
right.
Look at that.
There
Look
you
at
go.
that.
as you're sitting at one of our hip campsites.
Oh, wow.
Man, look at that. We're just plugging everything in, aren't we?
Wow, wow.
It's easy for you to say.
Oh, no.
I almost did an Office reference. I kept my mouth shut. We got it. This is a kid-friendly show. So first day is through. You got the nerves over with.
Yeah.
Now you found out you start getting regulars in here. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn this over to August here. 'Cause
Sure.
I want to know how he felt his first day here. Like when you started pouring wine and you decided you were going down this path, how did you feel on your first day
How did I feel on my first day?
here? Yeah.
It's one of those things where you get thrown into the fire, and that's the case in any service industry job because they can only tell you so much before you start. A lot of it's like hands-on and
Learning,
Same
yeah.
thing, even in the winery. It's a lot of you're not going to learn it by me telling you. You're going to learn it by doing it. So there's a lot thick and fast, but you just got to keep going with it and tell yourself you're going to pick it up as you go, and you do. So.
Now,
We've got to put this in context. August history. August grew up in a dairy family.
Okay.
Owned a dairy.
Oh, wow.
So he traded the udder for the wine thief. So, while you may think
that was pretty cheesy.
yeah,
Sure
so
was.
you may think. So August was delighted
Welcome to
that
me.
he was working with a beverage that had a need for vintages. You know what I'm saying? So he's happy to be here. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How did you put up with this all this time?
What?
How did you put up with that all this time?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
you get used to it.
When
We're gonna mark-
Anthony was here, it was really, they were constantly back and it was very funny a lot of the time.
This is the first time you've had anyone on your podcast compare the milk industry with the wine industry. So,
I don't know
good.
why we're wasting time on this, but okay.
Well, I will make one comment on the milk and wine, okay?
Okay.
So I will say this. I found a cure for lactose intolerance, and it's wine. Seriously. So we were at Kiefer Saul. They were making tableside vanilla ice cream and with bananas Foster, and I wanted some.
That sounds
I'm
really
lactose
good.
intolerant, and so I ate it, and I thought I was going to die. Like literally, I was digging my grave. It was hurting so bad, and I drank wine, and I felt better.
so which varietal do you use with your Cheerios in your cereal?
You knew it was coming.
Well, okay, so so sometimes I like Miller Lite. Sometimes I like a little Riesling because instead of adding the sugar in it, it's already
That's
there.
true. It's already there for you. That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense.
We should do a stand-up show on wine.
Please don't.
That would be great.
No.
You know what? Come alive, Walt and Will. Wine stand up.
Oh,
at
no.
4R.
Oh,
The
my
hairless and the almost hairless.
Amos and Andy.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
No, but in all seriousness, I have to say that August has become a sensational winemaker. And growing up in this town,
Don't cry,
raising
August.
his family in
Don't
this
cry.
town. No, really, he really has. And he has learned so much in the last 10. We'll be 10 years old next year. And doing a lot of really interesting things for our 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
That will be very exciting. But during that whole process, you just see his evolution to this point of being winemaker, which is so exciting. And today, earlier for Father's Day, he did a vertical tasting of our Cabernet Sauvignon from 22 or 21 to now.
We started with the 22, which is what we're currently serving.
Yeah.
We did our 23 reserve, and then the 24, which is still in barrel.
And still in barrel. And everybody that's done it today is like, wow, 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 wow. And that's really how you can see not only the evolution of the winemaker, but really kind of the evolution of For Our story too. And that's really exciting.
That is always cool when you do something like that. When you get to taste what you did very first time, and then you get to taste it, next year and the next year and next year, and you have enough to keep doing that. And be able to taste, we really didn't know what we were doing this first year, but holy crap, look what we're doing now. That's amazing to get to taste that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, anything really, but especially winemaking, is that you can't get in the slump of thinking you're done learning. It's a constant process. And if you want to produce better wine every vintage, or even just to maintain every vintage, you have to keep learning.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are so many things that you could have been a winemaker making wine for 5 years, and all of a sudden your sixth year, you make it the same every time. And all of a sudden your sixth year, you're faced with a problem that you haven't seen before. And if you don't keep learning, you don't know how to address that problem.
Exactly.
So
I'm going to throw you a little pop quiz.
Okay.
How many times a year do you get to make wine?
How many times a year? Well, it's. Do you want me every day? I mean, we have harvest once a year.
There
we
you go.
ferment once a year.
There's the answer right there.
But then it's an everyday thing.
Yeah, it really is.
You get to make wine one time a year because you get to harvest the grapes, you get to crush and destem and start your fermentation, and you start that process.
And what? Sorry.
And you start your process.
Yeah.
And then you got to wait till the next year to start all over again. Yeah. So once a year, you get to make wine.
Yeah.
So I don't know who it was that I heard this quote from, but he said, someone asked him, how long have you been practicing making wine? And he's been doing wine, he said, like 34 years. And the guy said, well, I've been doing it for 34 years. And he goes, why so little? You've been doing it for so long. He says, because you only get one time a year to make wine.
Yeah.
Because you harvest and that's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, every vintage you get one shot at that vintage.
That's right.
It really. I mean, you can if you do something a little bit wrong, you can try to fix it throughout its process, but you got one shot.
Yeah, never thought about that.
Well, that is the difference between wine on the one hand versus beer or spirits, is that you can buy hops anytime.
Yep.
And make beer throughout, make a bunch of batches. You make a batch that's bad, you just throw it out and start, buy some more hops and whatever ingredients you need. But wine, you can't get grapes year round.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
and
right.
to his, just to compare again, beer, it's a very much, I need more beer, so I'm going to go start a batch.
Right.
It's wine. You got to plan. With whites, it's 2 years in advance. Reds are 3 or 4 years in advance, and you got to hope that your projections are going to hold. Because it's one thing to make a little bit more than you need; it's another thing to run out. So,
yeah.
Running
out's a good thing, though.
Sometimes
it's a good thing.
Sometimes it's a good thing. Yeah.
So I actually had a question on the top of my head, and it just went away.
I don't know.
Well, you got a list.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, it was a rebuttal to what you just literally just said, and I just went completely blank. What was it? I just totally went blank. Okay, moving along. All right, so the next one here, I didn't even know this one, so this had to be like an inside question.
Okay.
All right, tell the story of how the houses you live in were moved to the property.
Well, okay, so there's 3 houses on the property. The one house that's a single story, the guest house, has always been here, as far as we know.
Okay.
It wasn't moved here. It was probably built here a long time ago. That has alternately been called the bunkhouse or the ranch foreman's house.
Okay.
But we called it the guest house.
Okay.
Gast house, as in
Guest,
German.
As in German.
The guest house?
G-A-S-T.
G-A-S-T.
H-
Oh,
with a
gas.
G with an umlaut. Gast house.
Gassed. Okay, I thought you said gas house.
No.
Guest house.
No. That's a different kind of German house. We already talked about that.
That's just wrong.
Yeah. The other two houses were moved here. One was Bishop Dangelmeyer's house.
No.
I'm sorry.
No,
Let me back
no,
up.
no.
It was
Back up,
built
back up.
by Werner
Andrus.
in 1904.
That's right.
It was originally up on the prairie between Munster and St. Joe.
That's
Okay.
right.
And
And his family and their generations still live in Munster.
many of them do live in Munster.
Wow.
Which is really cool.
And but eventually, Bishop Dangelmeyer, I guess, bought it.
He
and
did.
lived there, and
It was on their
it
property.
was on that property. And then some prior owners of this ranch moved it down the hill, cut it in half, moved it down the hill, and then put it where it is today.
Along with our house, which came from Gainesville.
Yes, and
Just a 1930s style
getting
ranch
there.
house. Well, I'm just trying to get it in.
She's trying to speed you up.
Not sure I was. Come on, honey.
we have wine club. We have wine club members
Yeah,
who, and some of whom bring their relatives back from Germany.
that's true.
And we give them a tour,
Tour
of the house.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
they, in fact, the late Tom Furman
Uh-huh.
and Clinton Indris were grandchildren who are now, Clinton is in his 70s. He played in that house when he was a little kid. It was his grandfather that built the house.
Wow.
So, and he comes out here, and he's one of our wine club.
And they all tell us that the kitchen, they can't believe that nobody ever changed the kitchen, because the kitchen, the floor, the cupboards, everything is exactly the way it was when the house was built. And that's really cool for our family
Right.
to know that. The ironing board is in the wall and you pull it down,
Oh.
and I mean, it's really neat.
Wow.
Yeah. And so people ask us, so to make everybody happy in town, and to be fair, we call it the Indris Dangelmeyer house, because both families at one point
Okay.
lived in the house and had their families in and out of the house, and that's really, really important.
Have you tried to get that listed as a Texas historical marker?
We have
No.
not.
You don't want that to happen, then you can't make any changes. Like central air.
That is true.
So not right now.
Okay, so how many houses got moved out here? Because it's from here. It says
Well, one,
houses. So we said, well,
the two, Walt and my house, which
Okay.
is the 1930s farmhouse that we live in, and then my brother-in-law's house, where my mother-in-law is currently living. That's the Indris Dangelmeyer house.
Okay.
The guest house that's on the property was already on the property when we
Okay.
purchased it, to our knowledge, right?
Well, all three houses were on the property when we purchased it.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
The first house I started talking about, the single story ranch foreman's house,
Mm-hmm.
which we call now the guest house, that is on Airbnb for guests. So we rent that out. It sleeps six, eight. What are we saying?
6 to 8, but 6 comfortably.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't say that word in German.
Which one?
6. I was waiting for you to say that, Walt.
Sex.
Can't do that.
I don't know.
Good thing there's no kids in here.
No kids here today. No.
So you got 3 houses on the property. That is
That's
amazing.
right.
And y'all didn't move none of them out. They were already out here.
They were here when and the Ropers bought it in '94, right?
I would
94, we bought
love
the ranch.
to watch them move those out here.
Well, it's so funny you say that, because several people in town said the day that they did it, people from town came and they were lined up at the top of the hill just to watch to see how they were going to move these two huge houses down the hill.
We had 2 bulldozers, one in front, one behind.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
You've lived
do
here all
that.
your life, right?
What?
You said you lived here all your life.
Yeah.
So do you remember that?
No.
No, because that was in the 80s that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
I was born in '86. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
either before my time or I was young.
Yeah.
So he was
Yeah.
eating out of a grasshopper then at that time.
That's
Judging,
right.
judging by
That's
the
right.
wallpaper in our house, I'm thinking it was in the late 80s that
Yeah, or
move
early, or
occurred.
maybe early 80s, mid to early 80s. Yeah, probably. That's probably right.
So you haven't changed the wallpaper at all either?
Just in one room, just in the dining room. And why is that, honey?
No, What she means is we've changed it in every room other than the dining room.
That's exactly what I mean. The dining room is the only place that has the wallpaper. Why is that?
Because it's beautiful.
And because our contractor told us we had to pick one room that we liked because all the furniture had to go in that room in order to redo the rest of the house.
Okay.
So we looked at all the rooms and we said the dining room because it's very unique. The wallpaper is very unique. So.
Okay. That's fair.
One room downstairs.
Okay. But it's still beautiful, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all that matters then. Now, is that
You
your
better
words
say
or is that
yes.
her words?
I like the wallpaper.
Ooh. We have to talk about Walt here a little bit.
That's another podcast.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. So, still got some great questions on here. How long did it take you from the time you decided to start a winery to the first bottle of wine that you sold? And I think we actually talked about this. It was like what?
Well, we were.
It's hard to answer because we decided we were going to plant grapes with the eventual goal of starting a winery.
Because you and your mom and your brother really
we planted
decided
grapes
that.
in 2010, and we knew that someday we wanted a winery. So we were thinking about a winery. We were trying to figure out where we wanted it, what kind of building, et cetera, and we did a lot of research. Me and my brother and my mom flew out to Paso we go to Paso Robles?
And Napa with me,
Yeah.
but I
And
met
to look
Walt in
at-
2011.
To look at
so.
Destination Winery, we specifically went to wineries that had tours that had the winery was part of a larger ranch.
Okay.
So we went to Chalk Hill and Long Meadow Ranch,
Altessa?
Alter Ranch.
Altessa.
There were several we went to kind of see how they did it.
Yeah.
That gave tours of the ranch and not just the winery.
Yeah, and really focusing on rural properties.
And on
when
architecture.
When you're a destination winery, what are all the things they have? What are successes for them?
Right.
Because we are in Munster a destination winery. I mean, you have to drive, an hour and a half to get here. So we wanted to be really purposeful in all the extra things besides the tasting room that we were doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a very viable option. I mean, you got to figure out how you want to do this, and once you get it all figured out, then you put a game plan together and you execute.
Yeah. I mean, you can learn a lot, I guess, going to websites and doing all that, but there's also something to be said for having those experiences in person and being the customer and being then able to bring that back and say, okay, these aspects of, this tour or, this tasting or this lunch or whatever were really interesting. And is this something we could do here? Or, how can we highlight what we do so well in Texas in that sort of same format? So I think it was time well spent. We learned a lot.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, I've always wanted to do tours, ranch-wide tours, like an hour-long driving tour of the ranch. We've never managed to do it. We're always too busy working in the tasting room. And so we'd like to get to that point where we can do...
Yeah, that's definitely a goal.
About sort of doing dinners where we go to different spots on the ranch and have an appetizer and a drink here and a different appetizer and a different wine in a different location. We thought a lot of ideas. We're still evolving. We're thinking.
Okay. Nice.
But that's probably a good place to leave it. Don't ruin the surprise.
Well, while we're talking about that, I've asked this question before, and someone actually asked this question as well. Why the name Fore? What does it signify, and why did you and we've already talked about why did you begin the winery?
The Fore when I was growing up in Waco, Texas, we had a farm outside Waco near Rosebud, Texas, on the Brazos River, and that was called the Fore, and it stood for the Four Ropers.
Okay.
So
that's
R
my
is Roper.
Roper is my last name. That's what it stands for. And when my parents sold that ranch and bought the ranch up here, we decided to call it Fore.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that's, I actually thought last time we talked about this, it was like you gave me more in-depth answer. Why did it seem
we
real-
did. Well, funny story. When we were trying to think of what to name the winery, you and your mom and your brother and I sat around for hours trying to come up with names. And either the names were already taken or we didn't agree. But the one thing we all agreed on was For Our Ranch. So there you go. Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. That's
Sometimes
awesome.
that happens in a family.
It does.
Yeah.
You argue, you don't get along, you just name whatever you want.
Well, I think the For Our name has turned out to be really good and a perfect name because it's short, it's sweet, and it's. We came up with a lot of bad ideas. I'm glad we ended up with For Our.
Me too. It was the right decision.
I know there's some wineries out there who've made some really bad decisions.
Let's don't talk about that.
We're not going to talk about it like that. They're not in Texas anyway. Let's not worry about it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, and here's actually a really good question. With all that, is what's your favorite thing about owning a winery? But actually, before you answer it, I'm going to let, even though he doesn't own, I want him to tell what he feels is the best thing about owning a winery, even though he doesn't own it.
Sorry, the best thing what?
So you don't own this winery, but you own the winemaking process. So what is your favorite thing about owning the winemaking process?
My favorite thing about it is it's hard to put a finger on one thing. Probably generally just the creative part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're producing most of our wines are the same varietals. We've kind of ended up with this consistent lineup. We produce vintage to vintage, with the exception of some limited production. But even vintage to vintage, there's a stylistic component you're trying to hit that's a moving target every year. So it comes back to technical challenge.
Right.
That's enjoyable to me because even if you're producing the same wine from the same vineyard every year, it's always different, and there's something different about it.
Okay. So what about y'all? What is y'all's favorite thing about owning the winery?
I would say the fact that it's left brain and right brain both. You get to do the stuff that engages all your senses. You get to do the creative stuff. You get to do the spreadsheets and all the business stuff. So you get to do everything, and every day is different. You have to solve problems. We're, whether it's working with August or our ranch hand or our tasting room staff, we're always just basically trying to solve problems, and it's a new problem every day, and it's a challenge. And some of it's creative, some of it's just pure logical, and some of it's financial, and some of it's. But it's always it engages your whole. It's you get to use your whole range of skills.
Okay.
Whereas practicing law, you got to sit in the office, you got to argue with people, you got to think hard, compete with people, but it's just uses your whole range, and you get to be creative, and that's what I like about it. It's just always different. There's always something new. You got to know all about how to deal with which fungicides to use, and all about how to build trellises, and with August, working with August to figure out what's the market doing, what kind of wine should we make, where should we buy grapes from. I enjoy working with August to figure out, okay, how can we get grapes here cheaper than we did last year? Should we rent this trailer? Should we buy this truck? Whatever. All that problem solving is really, I enjoy it.
Okay. And you actually brought something up there that was very interesting, and I've had a couple of people ask me about it, and I never had a really good answer for it because I don't even know, because I don't ship wine or grapes. But when y'all order grapes to be coming from the high plains, y'all have a refrigeration truck that y'all put them all in so it doesn't start fermentation?
So we get fruit from high plains as much as we can. We do get some from California as well. But the high plains fruit in particular, we make it a point, and this is, I mean, you have a lot of people, a lot of wineries who will go for a refrigerated truck. And that's generally, they make that decision because they're hiring out the transport, and the drivers have to have so much downtime before they can come back. So you obviously have to refrigerate the fruit in that instance. We transport our own, so we usually will go over there the evening they're picking, and they load up all the fruit, and we drive back early that morning and process the fruit immediately. So we don't use a refrigerated truck to cut down on costs, and the trade-off is that we have, basically I have what amounts to an 18 or 20 hour day around that, with little sleep.
Yes.
So.
I know how that process feels because I did go to Ready Vineyards, harvest about 400 pounds of grapes myself, and it was 90 degrees at 2 o'clock in the morning here. It was 70 degrees when I got over to the high plains. I harvested till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then drove all the way back the same day. And I realized that when I got about halfway here and it started warming back up, I was like, holy crap, it's starting to get warm.
Yeah. And so we do, since we're not refrigerating, because it's a 5-hour drive. Texas High Plains. We'll, if we feel the need to, depending on vineyards and how they harvest, because a lot of them do mechanical harvesting here in Texas, we will use like some biocontrol measures, what they call in the industry. It's stuff that doesn't ferment the wine, but keeps wild yeast from acting.
Right.
So we use precautions.
Okay.
But then our California fruit, obviously, that has to be refrigerated.
Right.
We ship it. We work with a great provider over there who actually has a facility set up where they not only refrigerate while they're waiting on our fruit to all get ready, it's an atmosphere controlled facility as well.
Right.
So nothing is acting on the fruit. And
okay.
it's all hand picked.
Okay.
So there's no free juice that can ferment or anything. And they have them in these small flats so they don't squeeze themselves. And then they load them all up when everything's ready and ship them over. And it's all processed here just like our Texas fruit. So it's generally, I mean, if in an ideal world, we'd have a refrigerated truck come in everywhere we get fruit. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's expensive.
It is expensive. That I've had some people ask about that. How do wineries ship grapes from the high plains and even from California? And I was like, well, I know some people, like Lonesome Vine, they'll get in a trailer and just run down there real quick and come back. With y'all being on a lot larger scale of that, I didn't know if y'all actually did a refrigerated truck or not in most cases.
I like how you said that. Just run down there real quick and bring back some wine.
Well, I mean, it's Texas. That's how we
Oh, yeah, just run down to Lubbock real quick. I'm just going to run down to Lubbock.
I mean,
it's just 6 hours away.
That's how we say it in Texas.
Yes, we have used refrigerated
course,
trucks.
yes.
Yeah, we have.
August and I collectively last year, and I think I made 1 or 2 trips. We made 9 round trips to West Texas to get grapes. August and I are both, he's by nature frugal and I'm by nature super frugal. And so I think, if I need to drive to Lubbock, I'll do it. And as opposed to writing a check for a reefer. And so August and I will try to, if another grower, the growers cooperate a lot more than the public would assume. We even though we're competitors, we are very friendly with each other. A lot of us are great friends, and we will share trucks or share trailers or whatever we can, which is kind of hard to do. There's a lot of communication that's got to happen. But we will. We're kind of, because we're growing, we're kind of on the cusp of, we have used our Toyota Tundra with a bumper pull, and we're kind of at the point where we probably need to buy a bigger truck and use a gooseneck.
Yep.
And so August and I are constantly looking at all the different options. Oh, well, not constantly, but when we start making decisions about how we're going to get the grapes, we start looking at all the options. And so far, we've been able to rent bigger trailers and get it done relatively inexpensively compared to reefers.
Right.
And so it's sometimes painful when you got to get up at 2 when you spend the night, You get in into West Texas at go to bed at 8 p.m., get up at 2 a.m. and hit the road with your grapes back here. But
it's
you
a pain.
because they harvest at night.
Right.
A lot of the growers start late at night or early morning, and so it can be painful.
It definitely is.
We got to suffer for our juice.
We got to suffer for our customers.
Well, because all of those things actually keep the cost down for the customer. I mean, putting in a refrigerated truck adds cost.
Yeah. So, what we're going to do? So it's been a little over an hour now.
Are we into episode 100 yet?
What we're going to do? We're going to take a small little break.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to take a little bathroom break.
Yeah.
Probably need to get a little something to eat. I know Walt does because he's turning kind of pasty over there.
I don't think you're pasty, honey. It's all right. It's okay.
Hey,
I'm the only one that matters.
Walt is a great guy. Walt will take a hard time, and he turns around and dishes right back out, and I'm okay with that.
He does. That's what makes him fun most of the time.
Fun or funny?
Fun.
Looking.
No.
Well timed.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to step away for just a few moments. We're going to step away from the audio. We're going to go to the bathroom and all that. I still got a huge list of stuff, but we're going to start episode 100.
Woo.
Are y'all excited about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Episode 100.
100.
Man, cannot believe it's been 100. In the meantime, Walt, I want something from you.
Yes.
I want a great Waltism. A wisdom of words from Walt for the end of episode
For
100.
the end of
End of 100.
End of 100.
Do you think you can come up with that?
In an hour, you have time to think.
you mean in the next episode?
Yes,
I
at
thought
the
you were
end
putting
of
us
the
on
next
right.
episode.
No, I won't do that to August. No.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I got a few little technical issues I need to fix, and we'll do that. We'll be back in a few minutes, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thanks.